They're the ones no one notices. The last to leave. The first to see. Every night, across empty schools, hospitals, and office towers, they clean, and they witness things no one else can. Red water in mop buckets. Doors that open by themselves. Shadows moving when no one is there. And the worst part, it's not the buildings that are haunted. It's the janitors. Every worker who hears the whispers vanishes. Every replacement already knows the routine. Every mop handle you pick up may no longer be yours. This summer, step inside the shadows of PureHands Maintenance and discover why some jobs claim more than just your time. You don't really notice the janitors. You just see the clean floors, the empty trash cans, the faint smell of lemon polish before morning bell rings. But for David Morrow, the night janitor at Crestwood High, that smell had started to feel different. Heavier somehow, like something beneath the surface was rotting. He'd been doing the night shift for almost 6 months. Easy work, quiet halls, steady pay. His only company after midnight was the buzz of the fluorescent lights and the squeak of his mop against the gym floor. The first time it happened was on a Thursday. He dipped the mop into the bucket like always, wrung it out, and froze. The water wasn't gray, it was red. Not like rust, not like food dye. Thick, dark, and fresh-looking. He blinked, thinking maybe it was the reflection from the exit sign. But when he reached down, the stench hit him, metallic, unmistakable. Blood. The bucket was full of it. David stumbled back, heart pounding, eyes darting to the spotless floor. There was no spill, no cut, no reason. Just the sound of his mop dripping crimson onto the tiles. He poured it out immediately, trying to rationalize it. Maybe some old pipe contamination, maybe a prank from the students. The next night, he used a new mop, a new bucket, even filled it directly from the janitor's sink. But as soon as he reached the center of the gym, he saw the water swirl again, darkening like a slow heartbeat beneath the surface. And then came the sound, a faint rhythm beneath the hum of the lights. Mop squeak drip, another mop, another rhythm, perfectly syncing with his own, echoing from the other end of the gym. He turned his head. No one was there. The bleachers loomed in silence, the scoreboard light blinking faintly 12 o'clock. Still, every time he moved the mop, the echo followed. When he stopped, so did it. By the fourth night, David brought his phone, determined to catch it on camera. At 1:17 a.m., he set up his phone on the bleachers and started mopping like normal. The air felt wrong, colder, thicker, like the gym was holding its breath. When he reviewed the footage later, the blood drained from his face. There was someone else there. A figure, faint and flickering under the lights, mopping right beside him, mirroring every motion, every step, every turn. Only when he paused to check his bucket did the figure lift its head and waved. David dropped the phone. He ran. The next morning, the principal called. "Everything okay, Morrow? Security says you left early, and there's something strange on the gym cameras." When he came back to check the footage with the principal, the video showed only him, alone, talking to empty space. No shadow, no wave, no reflection. But behind him, in every frame, the mop bucket was red. He quit the next day. 2 weeks later, a new janitor started at Crestwood High. Same uniform, same mop. When the security guard checked the gym cameras that night, he frowned, zooming in on the figure's badge. It didn't say Daniel Ward, the new hire's name. It said David Morrow. And under it, the faint logo shimmered in the light. PureHands Maintenance. Hospitals have a certain smell, bleach, rust, and loneliness. At St. Augustine Medical, the night shift never really slept. Machines beeped. Lights hummed. And deep underground, janitor Luis Moreno kept things spotless, unseen, unheard, unthanked. He liked the quiet, until the quiet started whispering back. It began one night when his supervisor, Mr. Kent, handed him a new work order. Room B13, sanitation needed ASAP. Luis frowned. B13? We don't have a B13. Basement stops at 12. Kent barely looked up. Just follow the signs. You'll find it. Down in the basement, the air changed. It wasn't cold, it was thick. The lights flickered like they were breathing. Luis pushed his cart past the morgue, past the supply cage, and stopped at a door he swore had never been there before. B13. Stenciled in red. He opened it. The smell hit first, old metal and damp rot. The room looked used, beds with wrinkled sheets for poles, empty blood bags tossed in a bin. Except, no one had been assigned down here in decades. When he tried to radio it in, static filled his earpiece, and a faint voice came through whispering, "Don't forget the floor." He froze. He hadn't mopped yet. He turned slowly. Footprints. Wet, red footprints crossing the tiles, leading toward the corner where the lights didn't reach. He followed them, step by step, his breath shaky, his mop trembling in his hand. When he reached the corner, his reflection blinked at him. There was no mirror. The next morning, Luis reported it. Kent laughed. Room B13? That's a good one. You new guys always find creative ways to skip work. But later that day, curiosity won. Luis went to the hospital records room, searching for B13. He found a file, old, scorched, half-melted, labeled Basement Wing Fire, 1999. The casualty list included 13 staff members, all maintenance, all from PureHands Cleaning Services. He ran back downstairs. No door, just a solid concrete wall. But when he pressed his ear to it, he could hear the sound of a mop dragging slowly across the floor on the other side. That night, the supervisor found Luis's cart still in the hallway, bucket full, mop leaning perfectly upright. Inside the bucket, the water wasn't red. It was gray like ash, and taped to the handle was a yellow cleaning tag. It read, "Reassignment complete, PureHands Maintenance." The Devlin corporate tower was a graveyard of glass, 24 floors of white lights, empty desks, and screensavers looping in silence long after everyone had gone home. That's when Eddie Tran clocked in, the new janitor. Quiet, reliable, never late. He liked working when no one else was around. The stillness of the cubicles, the click of his mop bucket wheels echoing down endless corridors. But after his third week, he noticed something strange. Every time he walked past the conference room glass, he caught movement, reflections. People. Working. Typing. Laughing. But when he turned to look into the room itself, it was empty. At first, he blamed exhaustion, double shifts, fluorescent buzz. But the reflections grew clearer each night. He started seeing details, coffee cups steaming, keyboards clattering, one man pacing during a phone call. And one night, he saw himself. Same uniform. Same mop. The figure in the reflection moved just slightly out of sync, like a half-second delay in a video call. Eddie raised his hand. The reflection hesitated, then slowly mimicked. Then it smiled. He didn't. Panicking, he dropped the mop, shattering the illusion. The lights above him flickered, and the reflection was gone. The next morning, he checked the building's CCTV footage to reassure himself. But on the recording, he wasn't alone. Another figure mopped beside him. Identical uniform. No face. When Eddie showed it to security, the man frowned. "There's no one there, Tran. These cameras are motion activated. You're the only one who triggered them." But the footage glitched, just for a second, and the faceless figure turned to face the camera, raising its mop in a slow salute. That night, Eddie returned to clean, though his hands wouldn't stop shaking. As he wheeled his cart past the lobby, he noticed the security guard asleep, or so he thought. The man sat perfectly still, head bowed, mouth open, but his chest didn't rise. Eddie whispered his name. No response. He reached for the walkie. Then click. Every monitor in the security room turned on at once, showing live footage of janitors cleaning across the city, hospitals, schools, malls. All of them moved in perfect sync. In every reflection, in every window, each janitor's face was blurred, as if the camera refused to remember them. The following morning, HR sent an email. "Welcome our new staff member, Edward Tran. Start date, today." Eddie never came back to work, but the cleaning roster still updates his shift every night at 11 p.m. Assigned, Devlin Tower. Supervisor, M. Hale. And if you walk past the building after midnight, the lights on the 14th floor are always on. And sometimes, just sometimes, you can see two silhouettes mopping in perfect rhythm. They said Crestwood Mall was demolished 2 years ago, but Julio, the night janitor assigned to the redevelopment site, wasn't so sure. PureHands Maintenance had given him a simple job: inspect and maintain perimeter hygiene around the site. Basically, sweep dust, log safety photos, and stay out of the restricted zones. Easy pay. Too easy. The first night, Julio parked by the half-collapsed main entrance. The sign still faintly visible under the dirt, Crestwood Family Mall. Wind whistled through the concrete skeleton, but what chilled him wasn't the silence. It was the faint music. Soft, looping elevator music, distant, muffled, echoing from somewhere deep inside the rubble. He thought maybe his radio had picked up interference. But when he shut it off, the tune got clearer. "Must be a prank," he muttered, shining his flashlight through the hollowed entrance. Dust floated like ash. An old food court sign still hung by a single chain, creaking with every breeze. Then he heard it, the sound of laughter. Children. Running, shouting, giggling, somewhere ahead in the dark. Julio froze. His breath fogged. He followed the sound into the wreckage, stepping over rebar and cracked tiles until he reached what used to be the carousel plaza. There was nothing there. Just a circle of debris, a few broken horses, and a mop bucket, bright blue, brand new, with a PureHands logo on it. He crouched to inspect it. The water inside rippled even though there was no wind. And when he leaned closer, he heard a faint whisper from the bucket's depths. "Clean it. Don't leave it behind." Julio stumbled backward, kicking the bucket. The water spilled, and from the puddle, a child's face formed in the reflection. Smiling, mouth full of blood. He ran, tripping over debris, heart hammering. Behind him, the air vents exhaled a long, mechanical sigh, like the entire mall was breathing. He didn't stop until he reached his car. He slammed the door, trembling, and started the engine. Then he saw the rearview mirror. Behind him, through the shattered entrance, the mall lights were on. Every store bright, flickering open. Mannequins stood at their counters. The carousel spun, creaking. Children's laughter filled the air again. And right in the center of it all, a tall woman in a white cleaning uniform pushed a mop across the glowing tiles, dragging a trail of red. Her name tag glinted in the light. M. Hale. Julio never returned to the site. But the next day, PureHands listed a new shift opening. Location, Crestwood Family Mall, under renovation. Status, active property. Note, air conditioning system operational. Replacement needed. And if you drive past the lot today, you'll still hear the faint hum of the vents. In and out, steady, rhythmic. As if the mall itself is still alive, waiting for someone to come clean it again. The Holloway Sports Complex was always spotless, too spotless. Its polished floors gleamed like mirrors, its locker rooms smelled faintly of bleach and metal, and the walls echoed just a little too long when you spoke. That's what Darren Wells, a contract janitor from PureHands, noticed first. He'd been transferred here after the Crestwood site incident. A routine reassignment, they told him. New building, same mop. Same badge. Same logo. But something was wrong with the keys. Each janitor was issued a single key ring on their first day. Darren's was heavy, dozens of identical brass keys, every one stamped with the same tag. PureHands replacement. He thought maybe it was an inventory error. Still, one night, curiosity got the better of him. He tested the keys. One by one, every single door in the building opened. Storage, boiler room, manager's office, even the employee lockers that should have been secured. Then, around 2 a.m., something stranger happened. The doors began unlocking on their own. He was in the middle of scrubbing the shower tiles when he heard a chain of metallic clicks echo through the corridor. One after another, a synchronized rhythm of tumblers turning. By the time he reached the hall, every locker door stood wide open, keys dangling from their locks like golden teeth. And then came the sound. Not whispers. Not footsteps. Water. Buckets of it, sloshing, spilling, from somewhere inside the lockers. He leaned in to look and saw mop buckets inside each one, filled to the brim with crimson liquid that shimmered under the fluorescent lights. It wasn't blood. It was too thin, too bright, but it smelled like copper. His radio buzzed, static first, then a woman's voice. "Darren, don't leave it behind." He froze. No one used first names over comms. The hallway lights flickered, and he saw movement reflected in the puddles. A dozen silhouettes, each holding mops, each standing perfectly still in the reflection, but nowhere to be seen in reality. Then, one by one, the mop handles began to tilt upright, as if something invisible had grabbed them. Darren bolted. He ran through the corridor, slamming doors shut, but every time he looked back, the keys were gone from his ring. All except one. It was colder than the others. Stamped not with PureHands, replacement, but with 3 words carved in messy script. For the supervisor. He threw it away and quit the next morning. 2 days later, his replacement received a key ring with 50 tags. The top one? D. Wells replacement. That night, every janitorial closet in the city unlocked at once. And inside each, a mop bucket already filled. The water inside turning slow, swirling red. By now, most janitors were uneasy. Some whispered rumors. Some quit in the dead of night and never returned. But several who remained began reporting the same anomaly. A tall woman in a white PureHands uniform. She never spoke. She never smiled. Her name tag shimmered faintly under the fluorescent lights, always unreadable, always flickering. She would appear at random, silently inspecting the janitor's work. Standing in hallways, clipboard in hand, Writing, nodding, moving on. Her presence was impossible. One night, Janitor Lila Chong was cleaning the second-floor auditorium when she noticed her shadow stretch unnaturally. It wasn't her shadow. It moved independently, mirroring her mop strokes, sometimes overlapping. She turned. The corridor was empty, yet the sound of a clipboard scratching echoed in perfect rhythm with the shadow. Later, investigators traced the signatures she had left behind, on hiring forms, time cards, training logs, and found something impossible. There was no night supervisor named in any HR database. No record of her employment. Yet her signature appeared on every janitor's first-day paperwork since 2001. The name? M. Hale, founder of PureHands Maintenance. And the strangest part, she was still missing. No one had seen her in decades. Janitors reported encounters that grew increasingly unsettling. She would appear in mirrors behind them, clipboard floating midair. She silently pointed to mop buckets, marking some invisible tally. Even electronics near her would glitch, lights dimming, radios buzzing, security monitors flickering. One night, a group of investigators decided to stake out the company's headquarters. They found the office empty, except for one thing. Hundreds of blank clipboards stacked neatly on a desk, all with fresh, wet signatures. The topmost sheet read, "Next assigned. Completed. Keep it clean." From the shadows, a mop handle scraped across the polished floor. No one was holding it, and in the distant echo of the warehouse, the faint metallic hum, mopping, dragging, breathing, whispered, "Check your work." Every janitor who saw her after that night left. Every one of them came back the next week, their names reappearing in the roster, as if M. Hale had already cleaned them into the system. Ex-employee Marcus Hill thought he understood the job. First day training, mop the floors, empty the trash, log the shift. Simple. But then he noticed patterns, small at first, almost imperceptible. The same lockers assigned every week. The same corridors needing attention, even when spotless. The same instructions whispered over the PA, even when no one was speaking. Every janitor he met had the same story. First day, first night, everything identical. He joked about it at lunch breaks, but no one laughed. Then Marcus tried to quit. He submitted his resignation. He walked out at 6 p.m., relieved. Next morning, the roster had changed. New hire, Marcus Hill. Location, multiple sites. Shift, 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. The paperwork was handwritten in his own penmanship. The signature was his. And yet, he couldn't remember signing it. He went back to his apartment. All his belongings were gone, except for a single PureHands badge lying on the table. The cycle began. He returned to work the next night, heart hammering, hands shaking. Everything repeated. Every floor, every mop, every bucket full of water, red, gray, or metallic, was the same. Even the supervisor's shadowy nods, the whispers through the vents, the flickering lights, perfectly timed. It wasn't just his building. It was the system. He noticed the break schedule. Every 7 nights, it reset. Every janitor, including him, followed the same sequence, unable to deviate. He tried to leave again. Same result. The next day, the PureHands central computer had automatically re-added him to the system. On his badge, the logo flickered briefly. PureHands. Pure souls. Marcus realized the terrifying truth. He wasn't working for PureHands. He was part of PureHands. And the cleaning rotation? It wasn't for floors. It was for keeping the workers themselves in line. Looped, monitored, cataloged. When he tried to whisper his fears to the other janitors, they stared blankly. Eyes empty. Hands clutching mops. They were already gone. And the rotation never stopped. It started as a faint hum. Soft. Mechanical. Almost polite. Janitors in Atlanta, Denver, and Chicago began hearing it through the ventilation ducts. At first, only a trickle, barely audible over the whir of air circulation. But the hum had a pattern. Clean it. Don't leave it behind. The phrase repeated endlessly, distorted, reversed, yet unmistakably human. Those who listened too long reported headaches, nausea, and an overwhelming compulsion to obey. Maya Lin, a night janitor in a Chicago hospital, described it best. It was like the vents were talking directly to my hands, telling me where to mop, what to pick up, almost guiding me. I couldn't stop. Audio engineers attempted to record the sound. When played back normally, it was white noise. Reverse it, pitch shift, slow the tempo, and it became a chorus of whispers. Thousands of voices, all saying the same thing. Clean it. Don't leave it behind. Even more disturbing, Spectrogram analysis revealed a second, hidden frequency embedded within the sound. It perfectly matched the operating range of industrial cleaning vacuums. Machines mimicking human voices. Humans mimicking machines. Janitors began leaving notes in the empty closets. The sound, "It knows my name." And indeed it did. Those who listened closely reported hearing their own names whispered, repeated over and over, like the vents themselves had memory. Some tried to ignore it. Some tried to quit. None succeeded. Across multiple cities, phones buzzed, alarms chimed, and electronics flickered in rhythm with the vents. Even the faceless reflections, seen in office windows and mirrors, seemed to respond to the sound. The low hum became more than guidance. It became a leash. And the janitors? They followed it willingly. Because the moment they ignored it, the water in their buckets began to rise, red, gray, metallic, almost as if the building itself punished disobedience. By the time investigators attempted to shut the vents down, the frequency had spread to the streets. Every vacuum cleaner, every ventilation shaft, every broken PA system carried it, feeding it back into the system. PureHands wasn't just haunting buildings anymore. It was orchestrating an entire city, one janitor at a time. And the sound kept whispering, "Clean it. Don't leave it behind." The city was quiet, too quiet. Streetlights hummed in sync with the vent frequencies. Buildings that had long been abandoned seemed alive, faint lights flickering inside shattered windows. Ethan Cole was the last known PureHands janitor still reporting for duty. Every colleague had vanished, resigned, or been absorbed into the rotation. He thought he was alone. He entered the PureHands central warehouse, a vast industrial space filled with racks upon racks of uniforms, each one labeled with a missing janitor's name, some dating back years. The air vibrated with the familiar hum. Buckets sloshed with red water. Machines whirred in unison, though none were plugged in. Ethan's mop squeaked as he stepped further inside. The uniforms seemed to twitch in the dim light, facing him, heads tilting as if observing. Every uniform was empty, and yet they weren't. A soft, mechanical scraping echoed from the far end of the warehouse. Rows of mop handles moved by themselves. Brooms lifted, brushes spun, buckets tipped. Ethan backed away, heart hammering. He realized the truth. PureHands didn't just haunt the janitors. It collected them. One by one, he saw shadows form behind the racks, faceless figures dressed in PureHands uniforms. They mirrored every move he made, every step, every breath. The hum became louder, the whispers clearer. "Clean it. Don't leave it behind. Your turn." Ethan tried to escape. Doors slammed shut before he reached them. Lights flickered, then went out. When he looked down at his hands, they were not his own. The skin was pale, veins dark, fingers stiff, yet they gripped the mop perfectly. He tried to speak, but no sound came out. Only the hum filled his ears. Above him, the last fluorescent light flickered, revealing a single uniform hanging alone. The name tag read, E. Cole, and in that moment, he understood. He wasn't surviving. He was being logged, catalogued, absorbed into the rotation. The warehouse seemed to sigh, the vent system pulsing with a rhythm like a heartbeat. And then a voice, calm, female, unmistakable. "Welcome to the team." Ethan raised the mop instinctively. The last thing he saw was the faceless figures surrounding him, their shadows stretching across the walls. And the hum, low, infinite, alive, swallowed everything. Ethan woke up in a bright, sterile room. White tiles reflected fluorescent lights overhead, perfectly clean, impossibly so. He was holding a mop. The handle felt heavy, cold. He looked down. The hands gripping it were not his. Pale, stiff, almost skeletal, yet fully functional. He tried to scream. Nothing. The room around him was massive, a labyrinth of identical corridors, each lined with racks of uniforms. The logo on the walls flickered. PureHands. Pure souls. He staggered toward a reflective glass panel. His face stared back, but it wasn't his own. Eyes hollow, skin translucent, mouth slightly open, mouthing words he didn't recognize. Then the air shifted. From the vents, the low hum began, familiar, rhythmic breathing. It pulsed through his chest. The whispers joined in. "Clean it. Don't leave it behind. Your turn." Ethan tried to run, but the corridors looped infinitely. Every turn led him back to the same mop bucket, the same racks of uniforms, the same humming vents. Above him, a clipboard hovered midair, writing names on its own. The ink flowed steadily, looping endlessly. Ethan Cole. E. Cole. E. Cole. And then he understood. The rotation. The red mop water. The faceless figures. PureHands wasn't a company. It was a harvesting system. Every janitor absorbed, cataloged, and recycled into the machinery of the building itself. Every step he had taken, every floor he had cleaned, every bucket he had emptied, all feeding the system. The voice came again, calm, female, omnipresent. "Welcome to the team." And as the last fluorescent light flickered, Ethan realized it was already too late. The mop wasn't his. The hands weren't his. Even his name was just a tag in the system. PureHands Maintenance had claimed him. And the hum continued, eternal, infinite, alive. Outside, the city slept. Buildings breathed. Vents whispered. And somewhere, a new janitor received their first key, ready to join the rotation.